everyone, so for today's video we'll be doing this blonde bimbo look, and I'll be giving you a story time as to why I am banned from Denny's and my most horrible experience while working at Starbucks. I hope that you guys enjoy these stories. Today I will be using my Hip Dot for Meatball eyeshadow palette. Oh, that's the back of it. I'm really getting into character here. I'm so proud of Meatball for having this eyeshadow palette. I think it definitely encapsulates the Meatball essence.
Something broke! Earlier, you heard a loud crash. Here's the cause of the thing. It was just, what is that? I'll taste it. I don't know what that is. It tastes like iced tea. Anyway, it could be blood.
And I used it in this. I really love it. I can't wait for you guys to see this tutorial and to hear these really crazy and really awful stories. So join me for this story time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. I am going to be doing that blonde bimbo makeup look that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So just basically doing like really platinum blonde hair, like super juicy like pink lips, and like big and like the whole aesthetic. Of course, we don't mean like bimbo in a really bad way. I really love the whole bimbo aesthetic, and it'll be really fun to kind of like try it on and live that fantasy for a minute. But while I'm doing this, I'm going to be talking about some wild story times. I'm going to be talking about that time that I was banned from Denny's. Banned from one of my favorite places in the world. We'll talk about that. And my worst food service job experience ever. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you'll know that I've been talking about this pretty much all last week, so we'll get into more detail about that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is putting on my contacts. These are from Pinky Paradise. I will put my discount code in the description of the video, and also, as usual, gluing down my hairline. I'm going to do those basic steps and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I put in my contacts, and I also glue down my hairline and applied my primer. So I use my Good Molecules No Silicone Primer and then the DHC Velvet Skin Blur around the areas that I have pores. The first thing that I'm going to do is go in with foundation all over. I'm using my Mehron Cream Stick in the shade Medium 4. So I can't remember what year this actually happened. I'll put it in the description, or I'll put it in like the comment box somewhere if I remember what year it actually was. But I was asked to do a pageant in San Francisco, and it's a really long running pageant. It's called Star Search. It used to be called something else, which we will not say. But I was asked to do it this year and had my entire drag family in my number. So we've been prepping for weeks. That same day we were prepping like all day, last minute preparations, like rehearsals, like all that stuff. So we hadn't really eaten anything. We were just kind of like super busy, like go, like trying to get the stuff for this pageant like already. Like you need to, if you've ever been in a drag pageant, you know that it's a lot of work, or any pageant, like really. You're like rehearsing all day, you're barely making time to like eat or do anything else. Why is there glue on this? So you're working like really hard to get like your number ready and doing all that stuff. I'm going with the E.L.F 16-hour Camo Concealer in Medium Sand to highlight. So we've been practicing like all day, getting everything ready for this pageant. So we go and we do the pageant. I didn't win, just fine, I guess, but we were like super hungry, like so hungry. We had barely eaten. We've been trying to like get ready for this like pageant like all day, so we decided to go get some food. Now, one of the diners had just closed in San Francisco. There was like 2 in the Castro that were open 24 hours. And the only other one that was open was like, this is like a huge event and like tons of people go to it. And it was like after the event. So we were like, there's no way that that place that was so tiny, which is an amazing diner actually. It's my favorite one in San Francisco, and it's called Orphan Andy's, and their chicken tenders are like amazing. But we were like, there's no way that Orphan Andy's is gonna be like available. Like we're gonna have to wait like 2 hours to get in because there's only like 8 tables and like a counter. So we decided to go to the next best place, and I used to live in the Outer Sunset in San Francisco, which you know is like really close to Daly City. So we decided to go to the Denny's in Daly City. So this was after the pageant. We were like in our like full makeup, but we had changed into like more comfortable costumes just to walk around in. Typically we can go to like any restaurant that we want to after hours, or like Orphandies, or like any diner or whatever, get food, it's fine. Like San Francisco obviously has a very rich history with drag, so people like aren't like really surprised by drag queens anymore. It's not like a shocking thing, it's pretty normal. San Francisco is known for a lot of weird things, and drag queens are the less weird of all of those things. So we go to the Denny's and we walk in, and of course there's like a lot of like Daly City teens and like regular straight like cis heteronormative people that like just got out of like whatever clubs they go to, I don't even know, but they were all like, oh my god, so cool, like this makeup is amazing. I was like literally like talking to this girl that was sitting down. We like put our names to like wait. Like all the girls were like, oh my god, like how do you do that makeup? Like, you know, like the normal like straight like girl thing where they're like, oh my god, your makeup is amazing, like I could never do that, could you do my makeup? Like that whole conversation. So we were just kind of like talking to like a bunch of the kids that were like sitting around like waiting for tables like we were, and this man comes up to me and he's like a security guard, and he's like, you're gonna have to get out of here. And I was like, oh like I thought it was a joke, like literally like a joke. Like that's just like, you know how like people are just like always like sarcastic, like you're gonna have to get out of here with that, like that kind of thing. That's like what I assumed he was doing. So I was just like, oh haha, and they turned around and started talking to that girl again. And I was with my drag sister. We were both like waiting, we had just put our names in, and my drag moms were in the car. And they were like looking for a parking spot. They just dropped us off to put our names in so that we wouldn't have to like wait that long. They were in the car finding a nice parking spot. I really love this concealer, by the way. Oh yeah. I'm going to go in with the E.L.F. Camo Concealer, and this is warm, fair warm. And I'm just going to add a little bit more brightness. It's definitely a lot brighter than my like normal skin tone. I just want to add a little bit more of a bright color. Oh, that's nice. So I just went ahead and put on my contour. I used the brown from the CC Beauty Amazon Flash palette to contour. I'm just going to blend that out. This is the Sephora 202 brush. It's that double-ended foundation brush. This is the one that I typically use to blend out my cream contour if I'm doing like a natural shade face. So my drag moms were like in the car finding the parking. I was inside with my drag sister talking to like the girls in the Denny's that were like, oh my god, your makeup, blah blah. So at this point, that security guard had come up to me once and was like, you need to get out of here. And I was like, this is like a joke, right? Like I was like, oh haha. I like totally thought he was kidding. And he was like a very, very short, like very like Napoleon energy type of dude. But at that point I like had just thought that he was kidding. So he goes up to me again while I'm talking to those girls that are like sitting waiting for their table. He comes up to me again, he's like, you're gonna have to leave. And I thought he was just like making the same joke over again, and I was like, oh haha, and then like turned around and started talking to those girls again. And then maybe like a moment later, my drag sister like turns to me and was like, we have to get out of here, like he's actually kicking us out. And I was like so confused because I had never like experienced that before, and I was just like really, really confused, like why is he kicking us out? Like we're not even doing anything, we're just waiting for our table, we're just trying to eat some eggs. All I want is eggs. Like I don't understand like what was going on like through his head, or like what was going on. Like everything was like normal. We were just like wearing makeup in the Denny's at like 1 in the morning trying to get some food. So apparently he like actually like wanted us to leave, and I had like just stepped out, and at this point my drag moms were walking towards the Denny's, and I was like, they're kicking us out, and they're like, what? And one of my drag moms, if you know her, Scarlet Letters, is a Taurus, and she's like very, very, she stands up for herself, and she's very like stern, and she's very like powerful in that way. So she kind of like storms in and starts talking to the person who's like taking names at the front, and is like having a conversation with them. Meanwhile, we're having like a conversation with the security guard outside, and we're like, why can't we, like with my drag mom Landra, my drag sister, and me, and we're like, why can't we like sit here? Like, why? We're just trying to get like food. And this man is like arguing. He's like, I'm sorry, you can't come in here like that. Like, you can't come in. Like, you can't be wearing that like type of makeup here. And it was like very clear that he was just like a homophobe. Like, very clearly just like a scared homophobic little man. And he was like really trying to exert his like overnight Denny's security guard power over us. We were just like not having it. And he was explaining to us like, oh, like you can't be in here. We're like, well, why exactly is the reason that we like can't come in? Like, why is the reason that we can't be here with all these other people? He's like, you can't be in there without makeup. And we're like, literally like every other girl in the Denny's is like wearing like a smoky eye, like a huge set of lashes, like lip liner, like gloss, like a contour, like full everything. Like they had just come back from the club. Like we're literally wearing the same amount of makeup in like different ways. It was like ridiculous. So we start like arguing with him, and at this point he says, so I mixed together both of the E.L.F. Camo concealers, and I'm going to use that to contour my nose. So I went ahead and did my contour, and then I cut my cheek with that Mehron stick again. I'm going to go ahead and set my under eye just because I don't want that to crease any more than it already has. I'm going to tap back in there just to revive it. And then I'm going to set it with some powder just so it doesn't move anymore. The rest of it I will do later. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills setting powder in the shade Banana. I'll just let that sit. I'm going to go ahead and do my brows. I'll use the soft brown dip brow from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm using a brush that came with my CC Beauty palette. It's just a really fine like liner brush. I'm going to dip it into that soft brown dip brow and map out where my brow should be. Then I'm going to ombre it out, and then we'll set everything. So now that my brows are like approximately like where I want them to be, I'm going to go ahead and set with like RCMA all over. I already did a little bit of the Banana underneath my eye, but I'm going to go ahead and do RCMA under that too, just to brighten it up a little bit. Then really carefully setting my nose and really carefully the brow. So I went ahead and set my entire face. I'm going to go ahead and contour with my light medium Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit. Again, I'm taking my card, pressing it against my cheek. I'm going into the shades with a old Morphe brush. The next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and go into my Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer in Cappuccino. So now I'm going to take my Real Techniques brush, and I'm going to use this to contour my nose area. Just going back into that light medium contour kit by Anastasia and following the contour that's already there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is highlight my face. I am going to mix these colors right here, that like lightish pink and that banana color together, and use that on the areas that I'm going to highlight. I'm taking my powder puff, and I'm taking some of that powder, sweeping it down the sides of my nose to like further snatch the nose. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring back that boop. I'm going to use that E.L.F. concealer in Fair Warm and a concealer brush. Just taking a little bit of that concealer on the brush So now I'm going to go into my brow powders from ABH and the A14 brush, and I'm going to set that ombre brow. I'm going to kind of bring it back and add a little bit more color. I'm going to use shades Taupe and Blonde for the front of the brow, and then towards the end of the brow I'll be using probably like a medium brown. Now I'm taking a concealer brush with a little bit of that Mehron cream stick, and I'm just going to lightly shape around the brow. So I'm going to take a little RCMA powder on my powder puff, go around my mouth, a little bit under the jaw, the sides of the eyes like that, just to bake and let that sit there for a while. So I'm going to mix a little bit of my ABH eye primer with that E.L.F. Camo concealer, and I'm going to use that as a primer on the eye. So today I'm going to be using the Hip Dot Meatball palette. I'm going to be using the shades Whip Crack, .mp3, Ashley O, and probably Shrinkle. So I'm going to take this Sephora brush, this is the 16, into Whip Crack, .mp3, and press that into the eye. Okay, so at this point, the little like security guard man was like telling us that we need to leave because we're wearing makeup. And we're arguing with him outside while my other drag mom is inside like arguing with like the person at the desk, or like the little like check-in, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And so we're outside like arguing with this guy, and he's saying like, you can't come in because you're wearing makeup. So all the girls inside are all wearing makeup too, all lashes, all club makeup, blah blah. And he said, and at this point it sounds like literally a threat, like he's literally threatening us. Because he says something that's so stupid, and we still make fun of it all the time. He says, if somebody comes in and you get popped, we're not gonna know who you are. So he's saying, if somebody came in and shot up that Denny's, that nobody would be able to identify us or know who we were because of our makeup, despite the fact that we have like our IDs and identification stuff on us. So at this point I'm like, okay, so if everybody in this Denny's got shot up, you would know who they are? You, this like 50-year-old man, security white dude, would know who all of these like kids and like everybody in the Denny's, and anybody that's eating in the Denny's right now, you would know who they are. You know who they are. So if something happened to them, you would automatically know who to call. Like, it's like the stupidest thing ever. So at this point, my drag mom comes out. She has just given like her entire argument to the person at the desk. I don't even really think it matters, and to be honest, I don't really like fault. I'm switching over to my Morphe M573 to kind of buff it out. So I went into Shrinkle and just kind of placed it right under that brow bone. I think that's perfect. Now I'm going to go into my Alyssa Edwards palette from Anastasia. I'm going to be using the Anastasia A25 brush, and I'm going to be using the shade Beast, just black, to add some more definition in this area. That way when I cut my crease, it's going to look really cute. So at this point we're like, this man is literally like, are you threatening to shoot us? Like, is that what you're doing here? Like, are you threatening to beat us? Are you the one that's gonna pop us? Are you gonna pop us? Like, it was the most ridiculous thing. We were just so hungry and so tired and so annoyed at this part. I took like a bunch of Snapchats of like what was happening, and if I can still find them and download them, I'll put them here. Hi, hello, welcome. We're at Denny's in Daly City Ceremony Center, where apparently you can't go in with face makeup on.
No,
because it's a danger to everyone. This is apparently the most dangerous Denny's in the United States, because if we get popped in face makeup, they don't know who we are, so we can't have a milkshake.
To be man. Daly City?
Daly City.
Daly City.
And we were just like, this has never happened to us before. Like, we're from San Francisco. This stuff is normal. Daly City is not far from San Francisco. It's like literally minutes outside of the city. This shouldn't have happened ever. Period.
Period.
So we just like weren't allowed to go in. They like refused to serve us. So we left and we went to literally still in Daly City. We went to Nation's Burgers, and a cholo opened the door for me and said my makeup was cool, and we got burgers and we went home and we ate them, and the next day we were like literally fuming at what had happened at Denny's. And what happened afterwards was like a newspaper reached out to us to write about us. I'll try to find the article here and link it somewhere around here or in the description. A friend sent out an email to Denny's to like get them to like respond, and nobody from the Denny's responded. We tried, I think the newspaper themselves like tried to get a comment from that Denny's and they would not respond. And at that point we were like, we could literally like sue them for this because it's discrimination, and frankly we should have, but we were like really young and we didn't want to go through that entire thing, and we should have. We really should have. But it was just a really just like strange and awful experience. Not necessarily banned from Denny's, but we were very, very, very aggressively kicked out by that person and just discriminated against. And I have been back to that Denny's once before, out of drag, but definitely never going in drag to a Denny's again if that's what's gonna happen. I've heard a lot of stories of like people going to Denny's in drag and not having any issues, but my experience was less than exciting and welcoming. And I do love Denny's. I love Denny's. I like Denny's a lot. I just wish that that experience never happened. I'm going to go in with my concealer brush and cut a crease. Now into that crease, I'm going to go ahead and stamp Schwinkle into like the first half, and the second half I'm going to use Ashley O. So I really like to say that I am banned from Denny's, just to be a starter, but definitely not banned from Denny's. I can go into any Denny's that I want to. However, I have found that the Denny's in LA are like horrible, like the worst Denny's that I've ever been to, so I'm really like hesitant to go to any Denny's here. And I actually love Denny's. I like diner food a lot. It's like my favorite kind of food. But I definitely won't be going there ever again.
Liza Minnelli, lies.
That looks really cute. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. What I also did is I mixed in some of that Fair Warm e.l.f. concealer to a little bit of the Blonde Dip Brow, just to create like a really light brown, blondish kind of color. And I'm taking this really thin watercolor style brush, and I'm going to draw small hairs in the front of the brow to kind of give it a little bit more of a blonde look. Now I'm going to take my A14 brush into whipcrack.mp3 and go around the eye and creating that lower lash line. So the next story that I'm going to tell you is about the most memorable and horrific time that I ever had. Oh jeez. I got too excited and I kicked the camera. Okay. So the next story that I'm going to tell you about is working at Starbucks and like the most horrible and memorable time that I ever had working there. And this was like the weirdest like time that I ever had working there. So like I worked at one for a few years like in the Sacramento area, and then when I moved to San Francisco for a few years, when I was like really starting my drag career, I worked at one there, and the location was very interesting. Now I'm going to go into Beast again from the ABH palette. So I was working at this location in San Francisco for at that point a pretty decent amount of time, and there had already been like a lot of really sketchy things that have happened at that location. Like our bathroom was often occupied for hours at a time because it was so close to the door. People would just come in and use the bathroom and absolutely destroy it, to the point where there'd be like unspeakable things all over the walls. It was already like a very, very interesting place. So from what I remembered from this day prior to this incident, a couple came in and purchased like a singular cup of coffee, like nothing fancy, and we're sitting down at the table closest to the door. So they were there actually for like a few hours, And you know, like at Starbucks, if you purchase a drink, they can't like really kick you out or anything as long as you still have that beverage. So they were enjoying that beverage, I guess, there. And we were just doing like our daily duties. Like part of my job was to like break everything down and clean stuff, and that was like a big part of like my day. And something that I actually enjoyed doing was like cleaning everything up and making it look really nice. So I remember breaking down all of the hot bar at that point and like taking it to the back and like washing dishes. Then I heard everybody scream. Then I came outside and my manager was literally like running into the back. She wasn't my manager, she was my my lead. Her running into the back and be like, don't go out there, don't go out there. I guess somebody had come in and maced the man that was sitting there with his girlfriend or whatever at the table closest to the door with bear mace. So not just mace, mace for bears. And literally the entire thing filled up the entire Starbucks. Oh my god, I'm kicking the camera constantly. But it filled up like the entire Starbucks, and like the particles were like everywhere, and all of the customers ran out of the store. Like ran out of the store, like left their bags, left their laptops, left everything in there. And this man was like screaming. The man that was like maced. The guy that did it like ran away, like nobody caught him. And he was like screaming. And we had to call like basically 911 and be like, you know, this happened. Like we need help right away. Little did we know that the man that got bear maced was hiding a python on him the entire time. Like under his clothes. Like a literal python. And being maced with a bear mace scared that man and his python so much the python was terrified, wrapped the man into the chair so he couldn't escape. So this man was trapped in this chair, completely tied to it, could not move because his python started like constricting him to the chair. And his like girlfriend was like freaking out. Our location was really close to the police station and like a fire station, so the firefighters came first, and then there was like ambulance and cops, and they took him out of the store and put him onto the sidewalk. And at that point all of us like had left once the particles like calmed down a little bit, because I was like in the back washing the dishes when it actually happened. I didn't get as much as my coworkers did. A lot of them were like kind of like suffering because of the particles like on their faces. I got like the tiniest amount because I had waited and then walked out when everybody else did, and I was in the back. And the guy, he was just like literally there, like on the chair, like literally tied to it, like freaking out. And the cops were like trying to figure out what happened, and the girlfriend is just like also freaking out and not being very helpful. And my lead like ran in and like grabbed milk and was like pouring milk all over this man to help with the like mace. Pouring milk on somebody on the sidewalk in front of the Starbucks while he's tied to a chair with a python. And then his girlfriend tries to help by like getting the python to like get distracted or like want to eat. And it turns out that the entire time they were sitting in the Starbucks, not only did he have a python on him that he was hiding, but she also was hiding mice, live mice, which I guess was like to feed the python, because then she started trying to like get the python to eat it to like relax a little bit, and it did not help. And literally like everybody, the customers, us who worked there, were like on the sidewalk. The door was open, we were all there with like the cops and stuff, and people were like literally walking by like, so are you guys open? Can I order?
Why are you closed? Tell us why you're closed! Tell us why you're closed! Why are you closed?
I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious right now? Like, do you not see that there is like a literal python like tying a man to a chair? And there's like milk all over him, and there's cops, and there's police officers, and there's firefighters, and everybody else is there. and it looks abandoned because everybody's stuff is just there and you're asking if we're open and if you can order a drink. I feel like if nothing else tells you about San Francisco, it's that story right there. Like how little people actually care about the absurd shit that actually happens there. That people were just like, yeah, anyway, so can I order my beverage? And like there was like people coming in too that had ordered on the app and like were trying to like get their like mobile orders, and we were like, we literally can't make them. We can't make them. We can't even walk to the store. There's like bear mace in the store. How are we gonna make your drink? It was very, very annoying. And we did have to shut down because we had to have like, we had called like the hotlines or whatever. I'm taking away a little bit of that black that fell. And then I'm going to go into my ColourPop E3 brush with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jet Gel Liner. And I'm going to start sketching out my eyeliner for this look. But we literally like, we're just like shook that like, this happened. Somebody was bear maced in our store. Our store was filled with mace. There was a literal python tying a man to a chair. There's tons of customers outside the store. Like they were able to come in and get their stuff eventually. After like the ambulance just took the guy in the chair and his girlfriend to I guess like try to do something about it somewhere else, and like everybody was able to gather their stuff, and then people that mobile ordered, we told them to like come back or to like call the hotline to get like a refund or whatever, because there was literally like no way that we could do it at that time. And it was just like the craziest situation, and like the Starbucks hotline told us to close, and like they were gonna have like a hazard cleanup crew or something come in, so we couldn't stay open for the rest of the day. And it was just like the weirdest experience ever. And I stole some chocolate chip cookies on the way out because I needed to heal my trauma from that, and I needed a cookie. So I'm going to go ahead and set this with Beast by Anastasia Beverly Hills and that A24 brush. I'm going to go through with that double-sided brush that you just get in the palette and like kind of meet the bottom and the top liner and smudge it out a little. Now I'm going to go through with my NYX Matte Liquid Liner and define that a little bit more and fill it in. Now I'm going to take my NYX White Liner and do that inner corner white liner. So I went ahead and did that white liner, and then I used some of my NYX black liner to create that bottom line once again. I also went through with just a regular plain black pencil and did right underneath my lashes to close that gap. The next thing that I'm going to do is add a little bit of sparkle, and I'm going to add some rhinestones to that white liner down here. So I've definitely had a lot of experiences, both while in drag and like working retail and stuff, that are really crazy. I know a lot of people have a lot of really insane retail stories, so if you think that you can top my Python Starbucks experience, please put it down in the comments and let me know what your craziest like retail or food service job story is. Actually, not long after that happened at Starbucks, I just like left. I like got a different job. I think that was like literally like the final straw. I'm adding more black. I'm going to go back into Cappuccino and that contour brush and just redefine that nose contour a little bit more. I have a little bit of that E.L.F. concealer right here. This one was the other shade that we used, the medium sand. I'm just going to take a really thin watercolor type of brush, dip it in there, and just redefine that a little bit more. Now I'm going to take my Wet n Wild blush. This is in the shade Mellow Wine. I'm just applying it to the cheek with my Anastasia Beverly Hills brush. I want to use kind of a neutral shade. Then I'm going to use the Buxom Ibiza, which is a little bit pinky, to kind of go on top of that and give it a little bit more pop. I'm going to refresh my skin with a little dewy set. I'm going to use my highlighter in Horse and Carriage from ColourPop. I really love this one. It's super bright. It's really going to pop. Whoa. I'm going to take my NYX white liner and I'm going to do some sparkles just here in the corners of the eyes. added a little bit more definition to my boob with that white liner too. I went ahead and I put on my bottom lashes. I'm using Porcelain from Sugarpill yet again. I know a lot of you are probably like, oh my god, literally like wear a different bottom lash. But like, they're my favorite. And I also put on my base lash, which is just my regular like everyday lash. These are just like some faux mink ones that I got on Amazon, and then we'll put on like the bigger lash later. While this is all drying and while the glue gets a little bit tackier on like my big set of lashes, I'm gonna go ahead and do my lips. I have this Morphe, this is I think an eyeliner in the shade Vibes. It's like a dark kind of reddish brown. And I'm going to go ahead and do my lips with this color. I am going to be doing like a hot pink lip, which I'm really excited to do. But with a hot pink lip, because a hot pink lick. But with a hot pink lip, with my complexion and also with like the huge lips that I'm about to do, the huge drag lips, I am going to use the dark brown just because it's going to give me a little bit more of a defined lip contour versus just like a bright pink color that will disappear into my skin and you won't see the beginning or end of it, and then it'll look like I just like shoved my face into a pie. So I'm doing like a more pouty lip. I always do a little bit of a poutier lip, but today I really want to exaggerate it. So I did kind of like a line at the top and then going down almost like a triangle like this from that. From there, I'm going to add a little bit more kind of shading it inwards. I'm getting hungry. I want to order sushi. So the next thing that I'm going to do is use my hot pink lip. I'm using the Sugarpill in Girl Crush. This is my favorite hot pink lip color. And I really like Sugarpill lipsticks in general. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but they kind of smell like an orange creamsicle and I love it. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go through with the concealer and my Mehron foundation and just kind of clean up around the sides. I'm just like so insanely jealous of like people that like don't have a defined like Cupid's bow. I just think it's like the cutest thing in the world to have like the rounded top lip or the lip that goes like naturally, but like I have a really defined Cupid's bow, so it's hard for me to do that, so I like fake and draw like a rounded line over it with my lip liner, but it's not the same. I am going to do a little bit of gloss in the center because I want it to be a little bit glossy. I'm going to use the Buxom Boy Babe Gloss in Samuel. And just like tap in the center and on top. And then I'm just going to like stamp it in. Okay, so our top lash is ready to go. And these are lashes that I found on Amazon. They came like in a huge pack. I'll try to find the link to it and link it in the description box. I'm going to apply them the same way that I normally do, kind of like at an angle. What I think I want to add is like a little brown beauty mark. So I'm going to take this brown Wet n Wild liner, just place one like right above my lip. I love it! Okay, so I'm going to put on my big blonde wig and my outfit and we'll be right back. Okay, so I have my wig that's like settling onto my head and drying. In the meantime, I am going to paint my boobs because they're not the same shade as my face, as most people's chest usually isn't. I'm going to go through with my Mehron cream stick and a foundation brush. And I just dip into there and bring it down, trying not to get it on my clothes. I'm usually pretty good about that. If I was like doing like a blue or pink or whatever other color non-natural skin tone face, I would do my chest and matte first and then I would get dressed very carefully. But I wasn't sure what I was going to wear today. I have like a little bruise here for some reason. So I'm gonna just tap it. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take my fluffy brush, put some of that banana powder from ABH, and set it. I'm gonna do a little dewy set. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of that highlighter, and I'm just gonna highlight kind of like the collarbone. Just like that. I'm like forcing them to come out because I'm too chubby right now. So what I'm going to do next is around that hairline, I'm going to go through with some of this again. So this is the final completed look. I love this hair so much. It's like so big I like can't even like fit it in the frame. It's like the cutest hair ever. I love it so much. And again, this is a Wigs by Tips. My drag mom's at Wigs by Tips on Instagram. That's where you can find them. They do take custom orders and they sell all the time. And this wig is just like stunning and gorgeous. If you order a wig from them, tell them that I sent you. I like went through like a small-ish wig moment, and now I think I'm back to like wanting like ginormous like big huge hair. I just like feel like Kawaii Dolly Parton. I love it so much. I hope you guys enjoyed my story on why I'm banned / not banned, aggressively was kicked out of a Denny's once, and my story about that python at Starbucks. And tune in for the next one. I think I'll be doing an assumptions video, see what you guys think about me. Thank you. See you in the next one.